And it's time for the business news now with Emma Hatton. Hi, Emma. Economists say, well, the time is right now for a massive state housing project. What makes them think that?
Yes, Lisa. So the call has come from the economists at Infometrics, and they're saying this is the perfect opportunity for the government to address the state housing shortage. So just for some context, the waiting list for state housing has more than quadrupled since mid-2015, and leaving out further increases in that waiting list, which of course, given we are expecting high unemployment, that's unlikely, but leaving that aside, 9,400 new state houses over 2 years would return that waiting list to its 2015 levels. So what they're saying is that wait list has just grown exponentially, and partly that's because of the high level of construction elsewhere, so private construction, which has hindered the government's ability to sort of get their hands on the resources that it would need to build the number of houses required. So essentially what they're saying now is that because the private sector development that has been going for it is going to drop away due to the recession, people aren't going to be spending up, that's going to free up some of that workforce and those resources to just finally get in there and build these state houses. So they're saying it's prime time for the government, the developers and the private people using the construction industry are going to be stepping away because it's a bit risky, partly because there's an expectation that the buyer demand just won't be there, and because of a weakening house prices, which are expected as well. So it's just going to be too risky for them. So perfect time for the government. And of course as well, a great way to keep people employed. And we need to keep people employed and skilled so that when the tide turns, they're ready to go. And also, of course, you want to keep as many people employed as possible. And I mean, of course, they're not talking down the track. They're talking now because this is urgent. We talked yesterday about how unemployment could get to around 10%, and that's going to mean that some people will be pushed out of the private housing market with high rents and people who can't make their repayments and things like that, and they're going to need the state's help. So that's on top of the people, as we talked about, who are already struggling and are on that wait list. So basically, these economists have looked at the numbers, they've done their modelling, and they're saying the perfect time is now. And it kind of shadows what the government did all those decades ago with its mass state housing plan. It's kind of a 1930s-style solution for a 1930s-style downturn.
And also domestic food production is one of the things that's being touted as a way to kind of push the economy along and rebuild, isn't it?
Yes, so they're saying, interesting report out today from KPMG, the business advisory firm. They're saying that the pandemic creates an opportunity for food and fibre manufacturing within New Zealand. And they've given a number of reasons and sort of a number of themes that they've seen coming through because of COVID-19. And firstly, they say that consumers and governments are now aware of issues around food security. So they're acutely aware around sort of access to food. So, we've never before had to line up to get into a supermarket, only to find, possible restrictions on items, or that the shelves would be no flour or toilet paper or whatever it was that, we were buying up at the time. So that notion that sometimes goods aren't available has really hit home. And likewise, on a government level, looking at supply chains and the reliance on globalisation, not just with food, of course, but the supply of PPE was a big one as well. So KPMG says the industry should respond to that with greater production domestically, and not just, to keep it all here, obviously, as the export market is crucial. So the report says New Zealand has a real opportunity here as an exporter to make itself stand out, not only as reliable and can deliver, as I just talked about, but also safe and healthy and sustainable. And another thing they talk about is because this whole ordeal has been about people getting sick. So people are looking for ways to be healthy, and they've been home cooking and they're aware of what they're eating, and it made people want good, wholesome food that's not going to harm them. So KPMG says New Zealand can be the supplier of that kind of food. We've got a reputation out there globally that we've done a great job of suppressing this virus. So, we're responsible, we're safe, and the world should trust us with the food we export. The other thing that the report acknowledges, of course, is that, it's all well and good to say do more at home, but how do you do that? You need the resources and you need the money, you need the infrastructure. So it's saying government will need to step up and invest. One of the examples that Ian Proudfoot, who is the head of agribusiness at KPMG, says is investing in better water storage as a start so we can make it through these droughts and keep those primary industries going. Of course, the other big issue in all of this is who's going to do the work. So there may be some time where it's really difficult to access the migrant workers to work in food production, which we rely heavily on. And that's obviously due to border and travel restrictions that are going to persist for some time. So there's two things to plan for as a way to address that this report says. One is greater automation of some of the work where it's really hard to get people, so the kind of work that people just don't want to do, or the work that can be quite dangerous, so work that has health and safety issues. So fast-tracking robotics and automation. The other thing is thinking about how we move people and train them, set them up in the regions where this work is going to be, because it's going to be a lot of work and has been talked about. There's going to be a lot of unemployed people. So
absolutely,
making sure it works.
So can you just quickly give us the market numbers before you go, Emma?
Yes, NZX Top 50 Index closed up a fraction this evening, up 0.72% to close at 10,649 points. NZ dollar sitting at around 0.60 to the US, 0.94 Australian, and 0.49 to the British pound.
Thanks, Emma. That's Emma Hatton with our business news today.